Hi guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to do a smoked tenderloin. So in that opening picture, there was a pack of ribeyes and there was a pack of tenderloins. They were both about the same price. So I decided to give this a shot to see how it would go. So right now I'm just doing a basic seasoning, salt and black pepper. I'm not using sea salt, I'm just using iodized salt. Doesn't really matter what kind of salt you use over here. I just want to make sure I get this piece of meat fully coated on all sides with the salt and pepper. Now I want to be able to taste the flavor of this meat, so that's why I'm not including anything else. Salt and pepper is really a great way to see if you have a good tasting piece of meat or not. It doesn't mask any of the flavors of the meat. So as you can see, I'm just getting this fully coated right now, and we're going to be smoking this on our pellet smoker. I have it set to 250 degrees and I'm using mesquite wood. So what we want to do is get the center to around 135 degrees Fahrenheit. So that way we can go ahead and then finish it off with the sear. And 135 degrees puts it around, depending on the steak, but it's gonna put this one at around a medium well. All right, so now I'm just preheating my smoker. As you can see, it's at 250 degrees, and we're gonna go ahead and just throw the steak right on that top grate, and then we'll just let it go ahead and get nice and smoked in. All right, so after about 35-45 minutes, let's go ahead and check the internal temp of this, because it will climb very quickly. The thermometer went in very easily because this is a tenderloin. So we're at already 118 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, so let's come back out and check this one more time. So this is about another 30 minutes later. So I'm just gonna go ahead and probe this around the same spot where I probed it before. As you can see, the temperature is where we want it. So we're about at 136 degrees internal. So we're gonna go ahead and get this thing off the grill so that way we can stop it from cooking. And then we'll just let it rest for a little bit, and we'll go inside and get a skillet on the stovetop. So I have my skillet on the stovetop. I have it on a high heat, and we're just gonna go ahead and let it get warm. So now that it's a little hot, I'm gonna go ahead and throw on two tablespoons of butter. We'll let this get nice and melted. I like to add butter to my steak because it really brings out the flavor and it enhances it. I don't like to use much olive oil. Now in this case, I did do this on a high heat, and butter burns very easily. So I should have mixed in a little bit of olive oil just to prevent the burning of the butter. But it's okay. So I'm just melting these 2 tablespoons down real quick, and then we'll go ahead and we'll get this piece of meat on there, and we'll sear it for around 45 seconds on each side, and we'll also make sure we get the sides of the steak too. So we want to make sure we get a nice sear on the entire piece of meat. And the reason why we want to sear it is, as you saw when I pulled it off the smoker, it almost looks as if it wasn't even cooked. It added some color to it, but it looks like it wasn't even cooked at all. So the smoky flavor that we're adding on this piece of steak isn't going to penetrate it all the way to the core. It's just going to give it enough smoky flavor that whenever you go ahead and take a bite out of it, you will know that it is a smoked piece of meat. So we got the butter all melted down. We're just gonna go ahead and swish it around real quick to make sure we have all sides coated. And then we'll go ahead and we'll add the steak right on, we'll add the steak right in the middle. All right, so now that's sizzling away. We'll let it do its thing. We're gonna go ahead and just make sure we swish it around a little bit. Let that butter hit the sides, and then we won't touch the steak. The key to this is not touching it. We want it to just, sear very quickly. The more you play with it, the longer it'll take, and it might not even sear properly. And back to the color, if you look at the top of the steak, it still looks like it's rare. So this is a very important step right here. Now I'm doing this on a stovetop. You don't have to sear on the stovetop. It's late right now for me, so I didn't want to have to bust out the grill, throw some charcoal in there, heat it up, and then, there was a lot of steps involved and a lot of time just to sear the steak on the grill. So doing it on the stovetop, you can also do. It's very fast and simple. You will get a better flavor though if you do it on a grill, charcoal grill. I prefer charcoal over gas because you'll get that full barbecue-y flavor. So there we go. We have one side done. As you can see, the color out on it looks a lot different, and it's starting to actually look like a steak. So we'll let it do its thing on the other side, and then once we get the other side all seared up, we'll go ahead and we'll do the sides of the steak. Also, as you can see, my butter is starting to turn a little black. This is where I should have added the olive oil. Well, I should have added it in the beginning, to be honest with you, but it's okay. I turned down the heat a little bit. It's not going to stop smoking, so I'm just going to go ahead and get the sides, and then the steak will be done once I'm done with the sides. Now the sides you don't have to do as long, because whenever you do sear the steak, it does creep up a little bit. It doesn't just do the absolute bottom of the steak. It creeps up into the sides a little bit, so you don't have to do it as long as you would if you were doing the flat sides. Now I prefer these thick cuts of meat because it makes it a lot easier to cook. It's more uniform, and you get this nice hearty piece of meat. All right, so we're just about done with the sear, so we're going to go ahead and set it on this plate, and we'll let it rest for about 10 to 15 minutes, so that way the juices can settle back down and won't seep out all over the plate. All right, so now it's time to cut into the steak. So let's see what we have. So this is a very tender piece of meat right here. I'm using a very dull knife to cut it, and it's still going in very easily. It was a little hard to cut it at first because of the crust that formed on the top. But as you can see, you have that warm pink inside the center right there. And just gonna go ahead and take a bite of that. And it is beyond juicy, guys. It is super, super tender as well. And it's perfectly cooked. So if you want to try this method, I definitely recommend you to do this. It is a phenomenal way to cook a piece of steak. You have just a nice little touch of that smoky flavor of the mesquite. You have that buttery flavor that was used to sear the steak as well. You built up that crust. The salt and pepper is perfect. It's not overdone. And it just tastes amazing, guys. Like, it is very, very tender and very moist. And that smoky flavor that little smoky taste adds a very nice touch to it. So I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hopefully I'll be able to pump some more videos out in the future. Thank you.